And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Curtis Thompson, aka Dark Knight Curon, and it's been a while. It's been almost 3 years since my last real upload onto my channel, and that would be because I got a new job, moved into a new place and everything, and life kind of catches you by storm sometimes. And honestly, I didn't consider picking this back up again as a project or anything like that. This is more going to be a hobby-based thing than anything else. The issue, unfortunately, is I got a brand new system, which means the old save file is gone. So I'll be making the if I haven't already, I'll be making the older videos private, so you don't have to worry about that, because we're going to just start brand new and fresh. This is the Steam version of this game, and it's called Shining in the Darkness. I believe it was the first installment in the Shining series, and it is by far one of those video games that has a very near and dear place to my heart. I remember playing this as a kid, way back in the day, and I consistently play it at least once a year, every year, to to make sure that the game stays fresh in my mind and whatnot. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and get started on this once again. It feels so weird restarting this after almost 3 years of basically not being around. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm not gonna delay any longer on that. Could it be that you're here to seek adventure? Of course I am. Well then, which record would you like to use for your exploits? The first one? Because back in the day, the Sega Genesis could only handle, well, specifically the cartridges, because you couldn't save anything on the console itself. But the game itself could only handle so much. So we're going to name ourselves Curon, because that's who I am. There we go. And once again, old 16-bit limitations. You could only have 5 characters for a name. How would you like your messages displayed? So we're gonna go with fast. Ah, I knew it! Curon, is it? I was expecting you. There's something terrible going on in the Kingdom of Thornwood. Something that I fear could plunge our world into eternal darkness. With your help, this can be prevented. It's all up to you. From this point on, you are the son of Mordred, and a knight in the Kingdom of Thornwood. Oh, I almost forgot. You've got 2 good friends now, Milo Brax and Pyramist. And those 2 are going to play a part in the story later on. The king awaits you. Please step this way. And this is definitely the lead up towards, the whole grand adventure type of gig. My liege, this is the one I've spoke of. Ah, Mordred's son and one of my finest knights. A fine name it is. A fine name indeed. Majesty, this lad wishes to join in the search for the princess. This was your idea, wasn't it, Theos? Yes, Majesty. As you know, his father was with the princess, and he's been missing along with her. He feels that finding the princess will lead him to his father. So, already you've got kind of a reason to even be doing this in the first place. So, this is a role-playing game in the traditional sense, where you're taking on a role. So, your father is one of the finest knights in the kingdom, and he was tasked with protecting the princess, who apparently have gone missing. So, the princess is believed to be somewhere in this realm. Well, I should surely hope so. I only pray that she's safe. Tristan, what say you? With your permission, my liege. Of all my knights, this lad is the youngest, but he is second only to his father when it comes to sword play. I see. Well, if Tristan vouches for you, there is no room for doubt. Bring back my daughter. I'm sure she is somewhere in the realm waiting to be rescued. Take this gold and equip yourself, and then return here. And we get a starting stipend of 200 gold. Alright. This is the world map. Pretty limited on places to go. And we can't even select one of them. So, obviously there's the castle, where we're going to get a lot of our missions and background information on the labyrinth that we're going to go into. That's the left side location to the left there. That is the labyrinth. That is where most of the game mechanics are going to come into play. We're going to go in there, we're going to fight monsters, it's going to be great. But down here, that's the village. And in here, this is where we buy equipment, where we buy items, the whole 9 yards. This is where basically we come to recuperate and get prepared for the next expedition in. So I'm going to introduce you to the whole town. First off, we've got the weapon shop. Obviously, you buy weapons here. That tent is closed, so we can't really do anything with it. The tavern is where you go to rest and recover hit points and magic points. As far as I'm aware, it's been a while. Pretty sure the tavern's really the only way to recover MP. Unless you get an endgame item, which at that point does matter. They have the armor, which sells you armor. And some weapons. They're not really good ones. The alchemist, where you get certain recovery items and utility items and such. And of course you have the shrine, which is where you save and get it and remove poisons, curses, that kind of thing. Because yes, we needed a separate place to save the game in the old Sega Genesis days. But so we have the starting stipend of 200 gold, was it? Yes, it was. So you can see here, we have only one character with us at the moment. And he's equipped with a, I believe that's a bronze dagger and a woven robe, and nothing else. At level 1 at 24 hit points. IQ, specifically, I believe, affects magic attacks and damage. Speed affects your turn order when in combat. This also determines how likely you are to avoid attacks, which that will never be relevant. It's very rare you ever actually just straight up avoid attacks outside of the level 1 labyrinth. Luck affects things such as item drops from enemies. It can affect certain critical hits, that kind of thing. Attack is how much damage you deal with your melee weapon. And that'll be a big point for this particular character because the main character does not wield magic. The IQ stat, you might as well just ignore it for this character because they just can't use magic, period, the end. No, this character is designed to hit things with metal sticks and to get hit really hard. Defense is weird. Okay, so the base defense right now is 4. But his actual defense is higher because of the equipment he's wearing. Your defense plus your armor determines how much damage you take from melee hits from enemies. However, your base defense, which is the defense of 4 here, determines how much damage we take from magical attacks. Armor plays no part in defending against magic attacks. That's just the way it is. And so the higher your base defense, the more resistant you are to magic. This is why other characters that we're going to get in the game seem far more resistant to magic damage because they have higher base defense but don't have access to certain types of armor. Yeah, bronze knife and woven robe. And we've also got, so everything in this game is manipulated through menus and whatnot. As you can see, I opened up this menu here. There's enter, there's spell magic, but there's no magic user in our party. There's the item submenu where we can use an item, give an item, drop an item, or equip an item. This is where we would equip items. As you can see, we have very limited inventory slots per character. It's 8 per character. And those 8 are taken up by weapons, armor that are equipped. They don't get removed from your inventory just because you're wearing them. They are still there. So item management becomes a very big part of this game where you have to make sure that everyone's ideally equipped for the missions ahead, but you still want to have space for things that you might find, such as treasure, items dropped by enemies, that kind of thing. And I believe that's it. So what are we going to do with this initial 200 gold? Well, I have a typical ritual that I do when spending this initial amount of gold. So first off, 200 gold is exactly enough to pick us a short sword, because the bronze knife is the bare minimum useless when it comes to combat, because this thing's going to deal next to no damage. It's going to take forever to kill enemies. At a level 1 character, you are particularly vulnerable to some of the things that are in the labyrinth. So we want a short sword so we can at least stand up to them. Because we have a short sword, we no longer need the bronze knife, which we can go ahead and get rid of. I am not sure why the screen bow is like that. Like seeing the recording and whatnot, it's like, why is everything not straight lines? Why is everything all curved? So I'm gonna have to take a look at that. No, there shouldn't be anything else I want to sell. And occasionally these vendors will have certain kinds of deals that you can buy. There will be specialty items and such that will be, usually they'll vary in usefulness, but for the most part they tend to be quite useful. So we're going to go into the Alchemist. Now that we have our weapon, just to double check, yeah, we have our ideal weapon, and we can't really afford an upgrade to armor. We're going to go ahead and buy Angel Feather. What an Angel Feather does is it makes sure that you can, it warps you out of the labyrinth instantly upon use. This is very important because once you get knee-deep within the labyrinth, sometimes a situation may arise where you are so messed up, you are so damaged, you are so low on resources, you just need to get out of dodge. So that's what the Angel Feather's for. Normally I recommend people, if you can make it back to the entrance, just make it back to the entrance, because the additional fight experience points is important. But since we're by ourselves for right now, we need to make sure we have one on us at all times. We have depoisons, which literally just removes poison. Not necessarily useful at the moment. We're not going to run into a whole lot of enemies that do that. Wisdom Seeds, just because the map isn't immediately accessible in this game, you have to use an item in order to access the map. Old school 90s thinking when it came to video games. Well, I guess you could say early 90s. Technically late 80s. So, you would need an item to access the map so you know where you're at. We don't need this. In fact, it's the most useless item in the game, in my opinion. You have Healer Fruit, which heals a lot of health, as opposed to the Herb, which heals a little bit of health. We won't need Healer Fruit for a little bit. And Smelling Salts. Once I get other party members, I'm pretty much going to have one on each of these people, because paralysis is a party wipe mechanic. Like, if you have a party member that's paralyzed, they cannot act at all for a certain amount of time, and if everyone's paralyzed, that's it, everyone's dead. So, we won't need to worry about that, at least not for a while. But we are going to buy a whole bunch of healing items, just to make sure that we can sustain our journey through the labyrinth. And then this will get us 2 more, so that puts us at 4. That's a decent amount. I can't buy anything for, what was it, like 2 or 3 gold left? No, I can't do anything with that. Oh, be aware. Whenever you buy new equipment, make sure you equip it, because as you can see, oh, I don't have it equipped. Because the system needs to know what's in that slot, and if you don't put anything in that slot, you're going to be terrible in combat. So we're going to go ahead and equip the short sword, which puts us at 28 weapon factor, which is pretty good. And we have nothing for the offhand and head at the moment. Another place you're going to get for rumors and general plot details is the tavern. And here, you run into a whole bunch of people that know you pretty well, actually. Princess should have been safe with your father protecting her. In fact, there's some who blame him for what's happened. So this is Old Vic, he's the proprietor of the tavern. This is Mrs. Vic, his wife. This is Lupo, Gat, Tack, Norn, Di, Edward, and Diane. And over here, at the far left, is the bell. And you ring it to, rest for the night. Lately, there's a lot of strangers around in search of the princess. I assume you're looking for her too. Well, the best of luck to you. Sorry to hear about your father. I hope he's alright. There's some people who speak ill of your father, but don't let it bother you. Just keep in mind that we're behind you all the way. Yep, there's the bell. Kinda young to be hunting for the princess, aren't you? Yeah, we're considered to be the youngest of all the knights searching for her. So, no one's exactly giving us a lot of credit at the moment. Don't make me laugh. What you looking at? I've never heard a pleasant word pass his lips, and he's just one of the troublemakers around here. I apologize for Norn's condition. He's a really nice guy, Tack is just another patron. Norn used to work in the labyrinth. I don't know how you get a job working in a place full of monsters, but alright. Nobody believes him when I tell him about the creature. It was ugly. I saw it on the other night, on the hill outside the village. We have Dai, one of the other knights under Baron Byron. But he's not been himself lately. So, yeah, because everyone's stressed out about the princess being missing. Yeah, they're related. All of them are. And there's no real big information to be had here at the moment. But everyone, you get introduced to everyone. Kind of, that kind of thing. Before we leave, however, we're going to go ahead and go to the shrine. Wise are they who walk the path of the ancients, for should they be wanting, my services are theirs for the asking. You seem to be fine in both body and spirit. You need 12 more experience points to reach the next level. Yes, this is where you find out how much experience points you need to reach the next level and get an idea of what more progress you'd like to do. Once again, this is where you save your game. And it will ask if you want to continue. Of course we do. We haven't even started yet. Not really. So, now that we're properly equipped for our first adventure, we're going to go back to the castle and get permission to enter the labyrinth. Okay. Provide him with all the details. First things first, you must find the whereabouts of the princess. It is said she was last seen in the vicinity of the labyrinth. We haven't a clue as to whether she is in the labyrinth or not. And, of course, stuff goes awry. We get a very explosive visitor. Greetings, King Drake. Yeah, greetings, King Drake. Who are you? Excuse my somewhat sudden appearance. Yeah, you just came in like a thunderbolt. My name is Dark Soul, and I've come to rule your realm. King Drake, you seem worried about the lovely Princess Jessa. Well, no worry no more, because I've got her safely tucked away. Fiend of fiends. Oh, Lord Tristan, another move like that could be your last. Now, back to business. I want you out of here, Drake. You must be joking. Speak when you're spoken to, Fire. How does he know who all these people are? I know we all have name tags over us, but I mean, that seems a little absurd. All I ask for is this kingdom. In return, you can have Jessa back. Now, excuse me. I'll be back when you're ready to leave. Oh, so the guy just wants to come in and rule the place and kick everyone else out. Got it. By the blood of the ancients, Jessa held captive by that animal. Find the princess. We're depending on you. I am Theos, the King's Counsel. I'm here to provide knowledge. Dark Soul draws power from draws his power from the darkness. His enemy is light. Listen, this seems really, really basic in 2017, but back then it was like, ooh, for the darkness. Like, as a child, it's like, oh, okay, cool. He who wields the power of the light may triumph over darkness. So, not exactly helpful, because we have no idea what that entails. We're fools to place our trust in this boy. Baron Byron, is that any way to address a guest of His Majesty? My apologies. I'm afraid I've been edgy since the princess disappeared. It's frustrating that my best men haven't even found a clue. I wish you every success in your search. Son of my dear friend, Mordred, bring back the princess. I pray that no harm has come to either the princess or your father. Now go, show Dark Soul what it means to face the Knight of the Realm. Alright, and by order of the king, we are given permission to enter the labyrinth. Why does the screen bend like that? I don't know why that is. But anyway, moving right along. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the labyrinth. We got nothing else that needs to be done. Now, this is a traditional, in my opinion, traditional dungeon crawl. I love dungeon crawl, something fierce. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. And it's very important that you map out the labyrinth in its entirety to get proper fights in, to get experience points, that kind of thing, and find all the treasures. But now we're in a fight. So we have spells, but we don't have spells because we're not a magic user. We have the run command, which we will probably never use, and the item command to use certain items. And of course, attack. I have a very obsessive philosophy when it comes to RPGs like this. I find everything, I fight everything. I don't like to run from fights, especially from ones I know I can win. So you will notice that once you hit the attack command, you'll be given the option to select an enemy. Enemies are sorted into groups. Whenever an enemy is in a group, you do not get control of which one you attack, because it's assumed that these two enemies are coordinating their movements, they're coordinating their attacks, so you're not necessarily able to focus on one in particular. That being said, enemies in groups are not, while they're not susceptible, they're harder to hit or single out with physical attacks. Enemies in groups can be hit all together with a single spell. So for instance, I could focus this one down with physical attacks, but if I cast a spell on this group, it only hit the one. But if I cast a spell on this group, it hit both of them, but my physical attack may hit one or the other. It's kind of a random toss-up. So we're going to go ahead and hit the one that we know we can focus down on, because we have no spells at the moment. And taking damage because our speed sucks balls. There it is. And that's why we wanted the short sword, is because when we get a hit, we want to guarantee the kill. And of course, and like, I know I said earlier that we wouldn't really be dodging that many attacks, but that's, once again, this is the very beginning area, and all these enemies in the beginning area are kind of incompetent. But as you can see, we've already taken 7 points of damage out of 24. Did not guarantee the kill on that one. There we go. And at the end of each fight, we are given experience points and gold pieces, because apparently enemies love carrying gold pieces for whatever reason. And yeah, some of these encounters tend to be pretty random. Sometimes you'll run into one enemy, sometimes you'll run into like 8. It just depends. But starting out, the game will not give you more than 3. 3 or 4, I think, is the cap. It won't give you more than that, because you are literally by yourself. And so the game doesn't want to gang up on you too much. So it's very important. This will be important later. We could try searching it, but nothing happens. Every time you run into a wall or something, you get that red thing that flashes. But that'll be important later. It's just important to just map things out. So that's pretty much the gameplay loop. Is you go into the labyrinth, you fight a whole bunch of stuff, you expend resources such as healing items, magic points, etc. to get deeper and deeper and deeper into each expedition. Because for right now, every time we leave the labyrinth, we have to go back into the front entrance and carve our way back through where we were at in order to push forward a little bit more. Eventually, we'll get something akin to a fast travel system, but it's not what I would call modern. But we can get into that later. And that's why I love dungeon crawls, is that once you're in it, every step you take is threatened by something. Like all these slimy oozes. These are just the basic types of enemies. All they do is just lash at you. Once you get strong enough, they'll just instantly run away from you. As you can see, we've taken enough damage to go from a blue window to a yellow window. So we could probably take 1 or 2 more hits, but I don't know what some of these encounters look like, so we're going to go ahead and heal up just a little bit. There we go. Yep, see? There we go. Like, literally, you could get into, like, several battles back to back to back in this game. And that's kind of the joy of it, is like, you are constantly being under threat by just this pervasive enemy force that's in this labyrinth. And I enjoy this game very much. I know I go on and on and on how much I love this game. But it's one of those games that I very much enjoy, because it's that traditional dungeon crawl experience. And we finally gain enough experience points to level. We go ahead and level up to level 2. We gain 7 hit points to our max. Note that leveling up does not instantly bring you back to full, because that's weird logic. But our maximum went up, which is good. Gained 3 IQ points. We will never use those with this character. 2 speed points, that's nice. 1 luck point, that's about par. 4 attack points, that's always nice to see. And 1 defense point. Don't ever expect to gain more than 1 defense point with this character per level up. It's just... He's meant to wear the heaviest of armor. He is not meant to really resist magic all that much. The IQ, though. Why? Why would you give me so much IQ points? I'm never going to use IQ. So we found another enemy, a cave slug. Nothing too much more dangerous than the slimy oozes. Goes down like a ton of bricks, too, anyway. We catch the enemy by surprise. Like with most RPGs, you can catch enemies by surprise and get a quick hit in before they have a chance to react. And bada bang, there we go. And this is just the standard gameplay loop for this whole thing. And you just keep going in through the labyrinth, looking around for treasures, items, that kind of thing. Here we go. This might actually be a pretty dangerous encounter. We'll find out how hard they hit. For 2. And there's a critical hit right there. An awesome blow for 25. There's another 1. Well, now that we've gained a level... There it is. For 3. For another 1. Yeah, they can hit hard on occasion. Ow, this guy in particular is being a pain. Let's recover some of that hit points. There we go. Up to 31. What's our status? Okay, 31 is our max. Okay, that makes sense. And the deeper you go, the more challenging monsters you're going to run into. Obviously, that's kind of the point of the game. Is to, you know, get better at fighting the weaker guys so you can fight the bigger guys and whatnot. And the mission right now is to try and find any kind of clue as to whether or not the princess is in the labyrinth. Dark Soul said he had her safely tucked away, but that could mean anything. And here is a treasure chest. This one I'm not scared of because I know what's in it. But sometimes monsters like to pop out of the box. Sometimes the box is the monster. So always practice a little bit of discretion when you don't know what it is, or if you're not prepared for a fight whenever you're opening a box. But I know what it is, so it's not a big deal. Found another herb. And this is a dead end. Yeah. If we had party members, like if we had the other 2 party members, we would probably be facing a second group on the right-hand side. So it would be first group and then a second group to handle on top of that. But since we're by ourselves, they usually won't throw more than 3. Usually. I think there was one time where I ran into a group of 4, but that wasn't too bad. So, this game has had multiple iterations. There was the original Sega Genesis version. There was the port to the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. There was the port to the Wii through the Virtual Console. And there's another one I'm thinking of, and I can't remember it, but it's not that big of a deal. And from what I remember, the Xbox 360 version was definitely the hardest version of this game that I can recall. Because, and what I mean by hardest is that each port, each system, calculates certain things a little bit differently. Not way differently, but a little bit differently. This might be a problem. Dark Jelly? Okay, yeah, that might be a problem. Anyway, but each port of the game calculates things a little bit differently. The random number generator has different behaviors, that kind of thing. So the Sega Genesis version is, quote-unquote, you know, oh, jeez. Okay, at least we got rid of him. And that was considered, like, the purest form of the game. And it wasn't too difficult, but it was moderately so. It was very much down the middle, with another level up, because, of course, yeah. 8 additional hit points, 3 IQ points that we will never use, 2 speed points, 1 luck point, 4 attack points, and the 1 defense point. Let's go ahead and heal up before we keep going. There we go. The hardest version of this game that I remember going up against, and there's a pit worm. Once again, it's just a basic enemy, doesn't do anything special, except It can hit hard, but not. But once we're at, now that we're at level 3, it's not that big of a deal. And like I said, the hardest version of this game that I've ran into was the Xbox 360 port through the Sonic Classic Collection or something like that. And oh my god, the way that the Xbox 360 generated random numbers was just brutal. Like, I've never died during these beginning runs before, except when I played on the Xbox 360 version. Like, I've actually died on the very first journey into the labyrinth on the Xbox 360 version, but that's just because how the console determined critical or random numbers and critical hits. The PlayStation 3 version wasn't as bad, but it was still like a lot harder than I remember it being. And this is the Steam version, which I've noticed isn't. It's pretty much as close to the original hardware version as you're going to get without actually having the original hardware. Because everything I'm seeing here doesn't seem too much different from the original console version. And that comes down to the way the game is emulated, that comes down to the way the game was ported, the way the game was... basically, every little fine-tuned thing can end up having a big difference on how the game plays in this game. Not necessarily from where items are located or how enemies behave. Hey, some 50 gold. Nice, I'll take that. But how much damage certain enemies do, how often they crit. Because on the Xbox 360 version, because enemies crit a lot more often than I was used to, that made certain enemies that had high crit modifiers to begin with very much high priority. Like, it changed how I actually fought certain enemies. Bronze knife. Really? Yeah, totally don't need that. With more slugs. And so, I guess that's just what happens whenever you play a game so much and enjoy it so much that the different versions of it strike you as different. Because from someone that's never played this game before and is picking it up for the first time, you wouldn't really notice the difference between the different ports and the different versions. But because I've played every iteration of this game, I know exactly where... Well, it's been a while, so I don't have everything memorized. But I know how certain enemies are supposed to behave, how much damage you're supposed to be taking. And everything I'm seeing so far is pretty much average with what's going on. But that doesn't make it any less exciting. I'm excited to be playing this game again. Totally. Oh, that's a dead end. But fill it in the map anyway. Because even though you can see it, the map doesn't get filled in. A map that you can't see without an item. But the map doesn't get filled in unless you're physically in that spot. These are man-apes, once again, basic enemies. They don't do anything special except hit hard. For example, I'm only hitting for 2. Not too bad. This is what happens when I open my big mouth. I could probably last another turn. Of course. Of course I miss. For 6! I need to heal right now. Oh no, don't kill me! Oh, don't kill me, don't kill me! Oh, thank God. Oh, okay. Can we kill one of these bastards? Like, oh, God, gee. Oh, really? Really? Please kill one of these guys, please. Thank you. Good grief. Sorry to panic there, it's just... These guys, like... This is the beginning portion of it. I mean, I am pushing a little further than I'm really supposed to be at this level, but... One more herb. Okay, so that was the last herb. We could probably explore just a little bit more. That's another herb, I think. Yes, it is. Alright. More dark jellies. Okay, these are probably going to hit pretty hard. Yep, there's another 4. Take care of him. Nice. And this is why we invested in the short sword. It's because we can more or less guarantee a kill every time we attack an enemy. Especially at level 3. At that point, at level 3, this beginning area in the level 1 dungeon, level 1 labyrinth, for just this section anyway, nothing will usually stand up to you from a single hit when you're at character level 3. Alright, this is about as far as I want to go for right now, especially with one herb. I'm going to see if I can get back to the entrance and leave regularly. Oh, that man ape's going to die. Thank you. That way I don't waste the gold on a angel feather that I know I could probably make it back to the entrance. Probably. And the closer I get to the entrance, the weaker the enemies are anyway. Because why put your biggest enemies right next to the door? 6 hit points gained, 3 IQ points that we will never use, 2 speed points, very good. 2 luck points, nice. 3 attack points, and oh, hey! That's pretty unusual. 2 defense points, nice. And just as we can surprise the enemy, we can also get surprised. And then they're just gonna clobber the hell out of us. That man ape has to die. Okay, oh, of course he did. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get back to the entrance, because an angel feather costs twice as much as a healing item, as a healing herb. So I'd rather use the healing herb getting back to the entrance rather than use the gold to where am I? There we go. Rather than spend the gold to buy another angel feather. And at the beginning, you kind of have to... You might have to take a couple risks like that if you decide to play the game yourself. Might have to take a couple risks like that in order to save some gold, because at this point, every ounce of gold that you can save up and use for weaponry is going to be very important. But we're already on our way back to the entrance, so it's not so big of a deal now. Yeah, we're pretty close to the entrance, so now we're just back down to just slimy oozes. Ow. Well, depending upon how much staying at the tavern costs, I may just use the herb anyway to recover most of my hit points. What was our haul on that one? 212 gold. Can't really buy a new weapon. We could probably buy a helmet, though, maybe. First, let's go ahead and see how much it costs to stay at the tavern. Oh, more rumors. Some friends of yours were looking for you a while ago. So it was probably Milo and Pyra, the 2 other party members we're going to be getting. If you're smart, you'll avoid those 2. They're nothing but trouble, yeah. Old Vic does not like them. 10 gold as opposed to 12, and the 12 might not even fully heal us, so I'll take the 10. Always a smart choice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go into the video settings and find out why it's bending like that. So that leaves us with... Well, we don't have to buy a new angel feather, but we do get another 75 from the knife. So we could probably afford a helmet, maybe. Yep, this is indeed the armor shop. Sell the bronze knife. Once again, you can go into deals, but he doesn't have any. None of them do at the moment. So we're going to buy. So he offers armor for the body, helmets for the head, shields for the offhand, and weapons. These aren't regular weapons that you would equip in the main hand. These are supposed to be for the offhand, so you could dual-wield weapons if you wanted. Like the main Gauche for the offhand, or Amadou for the offhand, which counts as a shield and a weapon. As soon as we can afford these, as soon as we can afford that, we want one. Because it's a decent defense boost as well as an attack boost. So we'll definitely be wanting one. I already know there's no armor upgrade, cheap armor upgrade for us at the moment, but I'm gonna look anyway. Yeah, our next armor upgrade is 700, so that's gonna be a while. Yeah, we can't equip really any of these because these are all for casters, and eventually we'll be able to upgrade to chainmail. Whew, no way, not for a while. Helmet though? Nope, 300 for a helmet. And then, yeah, so we're gonna go from a leather helmet, and we're gonna have to wait all the way till bronze helm. That's... You can only equip the heaviest of armor with this character, and a lot of the caster stuff you just can't equip because... why would... for reasons, I guess. We could buy a gauntlet, though, which will give us a little bit of extra defense, which is probably a good idea at this point in time, so we're going to go ahead and snag that. And then with the rest of our gold after I equip the gauntlet, there's short sword. Yeah, we're already up to 39 weapon factor. Woven robe. There's the gauntlet to put us at 22 armor factor. That'll be good enough. That'll help curb some of the heavier hits coming our way. So that gives us 3 spare slots to work with. So we can buy 3 more herbs. Just to double check. And we're full up. Full 8 items. 4 herbs, an angel feather, our weapon, and our armor. And that's all we can carry, unfortunately, because there's no such thing as backpacks in this game, apparently. So we're going to have to pocket the other 121 gold. That's okay. I forget what the specific loss is, but whenever your party dies in the labyrinth, it's not like full game over or anything like that. You get resurrected back at the shrine, but you lose, I think, half your gold whenever you die. So obviously, if you got quite a bit of a haul on you, you don't want that to happen. So, and the problem is that you can't really put the gold anywhere. There's no like bank or anything like that. This medieval times, no one ever thought to make a bank. So you just kind of have to hang on to it and understand how much value you're carrying with you wherever you go, for stuff that you can buy. And it's always important, if you can buy an upgrade, buy the upgrade, because you can't put the money anywhere, and if you die, your equipment nothing happens to your equipment, but you lose half your gold. So it's very important that you spend it, because it's a very important resource, especially early on. 37 more experience points, so that's basically another 10-12 fights. Yes, please record my adventure. That'll about wrap things up for this episode. I'll be doing more episodes tonight and, you know, putting them out there. And so, thank you all very much for watching. If you think this is something you wouldn't mind watching or listening to, feel free to stick around. I'll upload more stuff as time allows. If not, hey, at least you gave me a shot. I appreciate that. So, you all have a good night, and hope you take care.